Anyone that knows me knows that I'm only good at two things. One is being terribly inconsistent, and two is putting myself through unnecessary torment. And I am fresh out of inconsistency. I launched a quick poll in my Discord server and asked people what challenge they would like to see first, and this was the one that they voted for. So as a result of that tremendous decision, welcome to Pokemon Fire Red, and we're going to ask whether or not I can beat the Pokemon Fire Red Shuckle Only challenge. Shuckle is a Pokemon that has deceptively high stats, but only in defense and special defense. Everything else is garbage. Originally I'd asked the question, can this Pokemon beat this game, but that question's already been answered, seeing as MDB did this video, quite some time ago. And because to stay alive on this platform you have to do something semi-unique at the very least, I'm going to add an extra challenge. You see, MDB had to max out his level in order to beat this game, and I'm going to do the exact opposite. I am not allowed to max out my level. Other than that, it's all standard single Pokemon challenge stuff, you know, no items in battle, the only Pokemon that's allowed to do any damage is Shuckle, and yeah, that's about it. So jumping into the game, we choose the male character and give ourselves the witty and inventive name of Breph. It's been a while since I've done that one, eh? At the time of recording this gameplay, I was in the Discord server, link in the description, and in the public chat alongside a lovely couple of people. And seeing as Paris was the first one in there, I've nicknamed my rival Paris. Anyway, from there it's standard game stuff, you know, we try to leave the town before we have a Pokemon and then get dragged into a room by an old man who forces his balls upon us. We take the first ball, which contains a Shuckle, a female Shuckle that I name Izzy after my dearly beloved girlfriend. Dearly beloved. That's a joke. Fun fact, I actually started this game on a completely different save file, but then Pokemaniac Ace entered the chat and asked me for a randomised save file of Pokemon Emerald in exchange for something called sloppy toppy. So after a quick eye-bleaching Google search and figuring out what exactly that meant, I sent over the save file and just deleted the recording for the first 10 minutes and decided to go again. This time we landed an adamant Shuckle. I don't know what the last one was, but the positive attack stat, well, I'd say it'll do something, but to be honest, it's Shuckle, so. But damn, my Discord nickname means something because that Shuckle is looking fine. I mean, look at all those holes. Oh, yeah. I can't believe I said that with my recording on. Just while we take a quick break so I can compose myself, check out this montage I made. Anyway, we should probably talk about the run a bit, and the first challenge is Brock. This fight was a pain, and the worst bit about it was that I was so close on so many occasions, so many retries I got down to just the final few HP only to get hit with the mother of all rock tombs, and of course, that's gonna kill a Shuckle when it's down on low HP itself. I really wanted to do this before I hit level 20, and I tried all sorts of strategies to make it so. I tried using Encore on the Geodude to lock it into Defense Curl, but in the end I realised that my best bet was just hoping that I got good luck in hitting Wrap all the time. Being under level 20 for me just was not to be, and in the end finally I was able to beat Brock, and I'll tell you, just like the type of his Pokemon, he was rock hard throughout. After you beat Brock, you are given the TM for Rock Tomb, and given that it's a stab move that lowers speed when it hits, it's probably my best, it's not even probably, it's my best bet. So I give it to the Shuckle and I make our way into Mount Moon. Knocking out the Scientist, I choose the Dome Fossil because Lord Helix is completely and utterly overrated. Immediately on entering Cerulean, I decide to go and see Misty's gym. I thought I was going to get my arse handed to me well and truly, but I beat her first time. Rock Tomb is powerful. I wish I had more to say about that gym. I thought this was going to be the part of the video that really bulked it out, because after this, it's kind of a lot more straightforward. We take on the rival on the way up to Bill's, and he's got a Pidgeotto, he's got a Charmander, and he's got an Abra that can't even attack us. So, yeah, he didn't really pose any sort of threat, and I'm surprised I get to say those words using a Shuckle. But some of you might be wondering why I've made this game easy on myself and given the opponent the fire type option, which of course means that later in the game he doesn't have the Growlithe line and he does end up with a Gyarados and an Exeggutor. I did this for two reasons. One, because Charizard will be weak to Rock, and two, because that limits his Intimidate users. And of course in Gen 3, Rock type moves deal damage based off of your physical attack stat, which doesn't really make a difference for Shuckle, but it will make a huge difference when we are impacted by moves like Feather Dance or abilities like Intimidate. At any rate, at this stage at least, the rival doesn't pose any sort of threat, and we're able to progress all the way up to Bills without incident. On the way, I collect the TM for Secret Power, a move with 70 base damage. I'm not great at maths, so I can't quote this for sure, but I'm almost certain that Rock Tomb deals slightly more damage at the moment. But in certain circumstances, Secret Power comes with the added chance to paralyze, and that's some RNG that I will definitely need to use. I figured that the first place I would get to test that out was if we went down to the SSN and challenged the rival again. His levels haven't increased particularly much between this and the last fight, but he has evolved a couple of Pokemon, which makes them slightly more challenging, but in the end, not too difficult for Shuckle to overcome. Moving past that, we head up to the captain, and he's in need of a helping hand, but I've got two broken wrists from playing this game apparently, so we lend him our little Shuckle fleshlight. That joke is inappropriate on a number of levels. But anyway, I'm just going to roll with it because I don't really have a choice. I've said it now. Anyway, while he's messing around with that, we take the opportunity to seize control of the boat, whispering to him gently, "I'm the captain now." The captain comes to his senses and lets us off of his boat, meaning that we can head in to challenge Lieutenant Surge. Fun fact, I got asked in the Discord chat why I said Lieutenant Surge and not Lieutenant Surge, as it's supposed to be. Well, my answer to that is quite simple. Anyone that calls it a lieutenant, you're speaking English, it's wrong. I'm kidding. Call him what you like, it's just how I choose to say it. You know, I was raised and born better, quite frankly. As you can tell from my prestigious accent, I was born on the banks of the Thames. Poshest part of London, us estuary lot, can you not tell? Ah, well. I head into Rock Tunnel, and in here I catch us an Onyx. Now in here they have a 5% chance of holding a hard stone, which my one did. I took the held item, and that will be what I'm using for the majority of this run. To see if it made any difference having a big hard rock on my team, I made my way into Giovanni. Hard stone deep into Giovanni. Oh yeah, we're not above those kinds of jokes. And as you can see from the footage on screen, it actually made all the difference in the world because we beat him first time, and I was surprised. I thought he was going to give us a bit more trouble. Heading out of there, I decided to try my hand at Erica, a decision that completely backfires when I get paralysed quite early on. I don't actually know if it was early on or late into the fight, but I'm doing this without a script and without the footage, but I do remember that I got paralysed, and I do remember we won the fight thanks to a really lucky critical hit on her Vileplume. I'm not saying it was necessary, I am saying that I think Shuckle was strong enough to beat her, I'm just saying it was lucky. From there we head up to the Lavender Tower and completely gloss over the rival fight because it was dreadfully uneventful besides the fact that he's now got his Gyarados, but I mean come on, the thing's weak to rock, so... Anyway, that's Mr. Fuji rescued, and now we get to do the one thing that I hate the most, and that's go and fight Koga. Because in single Pokemon challenges, it just seems like there's a massive spike in difficulty between the 4th gym and the 5th one. I think the added difficulty comes from the fact that we're dealing with a gym where you can get poisoned easily, and he wants to set up Toxic 24/7. I first tried this in my late 40s and it went terribly. I mean, every single time you end up getting hit by Toxic or poisoned in any way, it's just reset the fight because you're dead in a single Pokemon challenge. And to be honest, given that every single Pokemon can poison you and does like to, a single use berry isn't the most useful item. In some of my runs, I did give myself a Pecha Berry, but in the end, I think I settled for not. But it doesn't actually matter because I needed to be level 51, and even then it was just the luckiest of runs. But you know what? I will take luck because it means that fight is behind us and I can move on to Blaine's gym. The man with the nicely polished dome decides to tell us all to check out my second channel and sub to Pokepleb with the Breph, where I am going to be re-uploading a series of Let's Play that I'm doing and will feature future episodes of Plebcast, my podcast type series that I get random people on. Link is in the description and you should check it out. With that done, we get the 7th badge 6th and get to move into Saffron, where we can take on the Sylph Company building. The first thing in there is a fight with the rival yet again, and this one comes with no real added issues, to be honest. We have a pretty significant level advantage and pretty high defensive stats, to say the least, meaning that we can take a few hits, and actually our rock type moves aren't doing particularly small amounts of damage. With the rival beaten, we head up to fight Giovanni again, and he was slightly tougher than I was expecting, mainly because of Poison Point. Essentially, the rule for a challenge where your Pokemon can't do a lot of offensive damage is that if you get poisoned, it's pretty much game over, because beating his team is ultimately going to take more turns than it would for poison damage to kill me. Nevertheless, a big fancy word there, Breph, we managed to beat Giovanni and can head into Sabrina's gym. Strange thing happened over my break from uploading when I was doing intensive law exams. I forgot the pattern for Sabrina's gym, a pattern that I've had memorised off by heart for many years now, and I couldn't remember it for the life of me. So hashtag Breff's a pleb, because here I struggled. Struggled actually finding Sabrina more than I did beating her. It was quite straightforward. But the woman with the whip, who lost the whip because I'm sure it was used for inappropriate purposes back in Gen 1, she's defeated, and that's 7 badges down, which means the only trainer left in our wake is Giovanni again. I tried it for the memes. I tried to fuckle that Shuckle through this gym at level 69. Nice. I just couldn't do it. I tried so hard and I got so far, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. I literally tried everything I could think of, and then I realised I had source material that I could check, so I went back to that MDB video and realised he'd put Toxic on his Shuckle. So I coupled Toxic onto my moveset along with a few more levels and was trying to brute force my way through, which in the end I was able to do. That being said, half of my hair fell out, the other half was grey, and I've grown a beard to rival Kratos's in God of War 2018. 2018 closely resembling the number of resets I had to do for that fight. That number was nowhere near the same when it came down to the final rival fight before the Elite Four. This fight actually gives you a really good idea of how the champion fight goes, because besides levels, not a lot changes. It's preferable to not get hit by Feather Dance when Pidgeot comes out first. In fact, we would prefer to get hit by literally any other move, including Sand Attack. Normally, I would try and avoid getting hit by this move at any cost, but to be honest, we need all the points in attack we can get, and the moves we're using don't have 100% accuracy anyway, so it's easier to justify, at least to myself, when something doesn't quite go according to plan. Following the conclusion of this fight, there are only 5 more trainers left for me to beat in the entire game: the Elite Four and the champion. Seeing as they kick off with Lorelei, who knows strong water type moves, this was not going to be easy, ever. So it won't surprise anyone that I took a few resets and needed to come back level after level after level. The main issue to overcome first was the Cloyster. It's such a good stall Pokemon, it's unbelievable. On top of that, when that goes down, Slowbro comes out and that thing's a tank, and after that we got Lapras. It just seemed like an impossible gauntlet for so long, until my winning run. I was paranoid when we got to the Lapras, and I was even more so when it went down, and I realised this was the furthest I'd ever come over a Shuckle. And in the end, we were able to beat not only the Lapras but the Jinx as well, and we can move on to Bruno. time after time after time, Bruno gave me that sloppy toppy, and not in the good way. The slop is my blood, and the top is where he finished. He finished on top time and time again, just pounding me into the dirt as hard as he could, just destroying my Shuckles hard shell. This was a brutal fight. I think I was on this fight for about 20 minutes with speed up going at full blast. It was quite an entertaining call, I'm sure, for the two people in the Discord call at this point, but it wasn't entertaining for me. It just seemed like Iron Tail never missed, and when it did miss, I didn't need it to, and when I needed it to, it was just laser beam accurate, which is just frustrating as all hell. Even when I got into the routine of making sure he was going to drain his full restores on his Onix, and when to use Toxic, and when to use Earthquake, and I'd get through to the Machamp sometimes, and then it just got brutal. I needed luck for this fight, but I knew it could be done because I could consistently get to the Machamp. And if I can get that far, I knew I could go further. Fortunately for me, after many painful resets, I managed to beat him and I could move on to Agatha. In comparison to Bruno, Professor Oak's wrinkly fleshlight was more than easy. Her Gengar annoyed me once or twice, but other than that, I've got enough that could deal with pretty much everything. The final Gengar was the biggest pain because you come all of that way to her final Pokemon only to get put to sleep and then locked into a nightmare. But at the end of the day, she wasn't the difficult part of this run, and actually I was surprised when I got to Lance and he made the biggest of frustrating fights. Going into it, I thought I would be fine. I had strong rock type moves and he had mostly flying types on his dragon team. In fact, Gyarados, well, I discounted it completely before we got into the fight, thinking it would be the easiest one of the bunch. In fact, that Gyarados turned out to be the hardest one of the bunch. The issue was that I needed a critical hit, and I just didn't get it, which meant that I was being hit by Dragon Rage. Now normally, a move that does 40 HP worth of damage is not going to trouble you at this stage and this level, but Shuckle's health pool is tiny. 2 of them, and we are just not able to beat this fight, because even when we get past it, even if we can get past the Aerodactyl without taking damage, we end up at the Dragonite, and we're too weak to survive an Outrage. Ultimately, we do get really lucky and are able to beat his team, and we can progress to the champion, but it took a lot longer than I was planning, not far off the amount of time it took me to beat Bruno. And then only the champion remained, and I genuinely believed there was a point where I would have to leave, level up again, and come all the way back to do the whole thing again. But no, I got fortunate actually, and I realised quite quickly that all I needed was some good RNG, and this was more than possible. Now, I was not max level and I had a pretty good Shuckle, all things considered. But even with the God Shuckle on my team, I still needed a lot of stars to fall in line. I needed Mercury in retrograde so that we didn't get hit by a Feather Dance or potentially a Sand Attack. I was hoping and banking on Aerial Ace. After that, I needed a critical hit Earthquake on the Rhydon, otherwise I was just shredded by his own Earthquake. And after that, I'd get hit by Intimidate from his Gyarados, and this was where things got tense. And from there, I just needed to hope that I got lucky with my damage rolls, and I did on this one, and I was able to take his Pokemon all the way down to the wire, all the way down to his Charizard, and finally, all the way down to nothing. I did it. I beat Pokemon Fire Red's Shuckle Only challenge with a Shuckle that was not max level. I one-upped MDB. And yeah, I sound a little bit smug and a little bit proud of that one, and that's because I am. But hey, that's another challenge complete, and I get to look forward to my future recordings. Now, I have an idea of what I'm going to try next, and I'm going to make it a big one. I'm going to try and beat Pokemon Emerald with no attacking moves, and I'm going to do it with a legitimate moveset and a single Pokemon. I know which one I'm going with, I know what strategy I'm going for. Can I pull it off? Well, there's only one way to find out. Thank you all so much for watching, your time is unbelievably greatly appreciated. I hope you are staying safe out there. Huge thank you to the channel members, and to everyone else. I look forward to seeing all of you, and hopefully some more, In the next one,